Hey guys, Kev here, and I have some rapid reviews to do for you. So I got 4 knives here I want to do rapids on. I've had these for a little bit. Interesting knives, varying from price and size and what they are used for and all of that stuff. So yeah, let us get into it. This is the Craig Brown Knives Exponent. Pretty sure. Is this the Exponent? How do I not remember the name? Or not the name. How do I not remember which one it is? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Exponent, but yeah, because I thought it was the Servo, but I'm pretty sure it's the Exponent. Anyway, this was sent in by Redbeard. Good dude. I got another knife here that was sent in by him. And yeah, when I unboxed this, I was not blown away immediately. I kind of was disappointed in it, but I'll be honest, the more I've kind of handled it, fidgeted with it, and all that good stuff, the more I like it. Now, left-handed, it is not great, just because I want to reverse flick it, and you have to kind of be on this clip to do that. It's not the end of the world. It's not even that hard, but I just prefer, you know, knives I can pick up and flick pretty easy, right? It is a frame lock, obviously. You can see here. Really cool milling pattern on it. I believe this is a discontinued knife. There's his logo right there. Craig Brown's probably most famous work at this point would be the FSD. There it is. One of my favorite knives. One of the best knives of 2022, in my opinion. Is this lighting, like, terrible, or what's going on here? Hold on. Alright, hopefully that's a little better. I apologize. But yeah, one of the better knives of 2022. Probably the best so far. Or you could say the Cortex version 2 is probably his other most famous knife. And this one doesn't get a lot of hype. And that's why I really don't remember the name. I think it's the Exponent, though. But it's a good knife. I actually prefer. I actually like the blade shape. I think it's unique as hell with the design overall. I like how it kind of like bows here, or bows here, comes down to like a spear point sort of deal, and then bows and comes down. It's just kind of symmetric. It kind of looks cool. The action is incredible. No play or anything. His knives, he just has you know, detents and everything dialed in. I was going on and on about the detent being light in the unboxing, right? You can see it's very easy for me to pull it out. Like, I mean, barely need to do anything here, right? And if you shake it, it's actually not that easy to get out. And then the weirdest thing is when you deploy it, it doesn't feel light. Like, it actually feels substantial when you flick it. The detent feels sort of strong. It's interesting. See if I reverse flick. Let me just. Well, there you go. You can tell there. But I don't know. Just something. The way it breaks. I don't know if there's a different. No, just a detent ball. I don't know, but it just kind of like pops when you go to flick it. Left-handed on the clip, pops out. So I don't know. Just interesting. I do not love the front flipper. I don't love the way it's done, the jimping. I don't know if it's the angle of it. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me when you do it like a normal front flipper. It's just not for me. The reach around is pretty good on it, but the normal sort of front flipper is not, you know, my cup of tea, so to speak. But overall, I think it's a cool knife. I love that milling on the blade. It's just unique. And for use case, I didn't really use this because, again, loaner, expensive knife. But it has a relatively low tip. It's essentially a spear point, I'd say. Maybe a little lower than that. But you can get down to that tip real easy. Cut. It's relatively average stock. But with that milling there, it comes down to a good thin edge. And it'd be a good cutter in my opinion. I'm guessing it's CPM 154. Yeah, I mean the ergos are good in this grip. I have no problem with that. You can choke up and get right near the edge, no problem. The edge starts like right there, so you can climb up here a little bit. You can get into a pinch grip just fine. Disengaging the lock bar is absolutely a breeze. You have tons of access, tons of chamfering. It's done really well right-handed. You can just, boom, you can disengage, let it hit your nail. It's such a light blade, and the way it's done, there's no sharp corners. So it just kind of gives you a little love tap on the nail, no big deal. And then you close it. Really, really good. Love it. So it's actually a much better knife than I thought out of the box. So that happens sometimes, you know. That's the Exponent, I think. Next up, let's talk about the Grissom knife and tool Riverstone. And this is the Linerlock version that came out recently. This is now a Bestech knife, not a Grissom knife and tool. It is a collab, but it's a Bestech branded knife. It has a hole and a Linerlock now, and a full forward finger choil. So the changes to me were magnificent. I love that Frank took the criticism and he went ahead and implemented it, and now you have a wonderful knife, in my opinion. With this full choil here, you can get an excellent, sturdy, rock-solid grip. The ergos make perfect sense now. Back here in this grip like this, it just didn't make sense to me. This, money. Up right there by the tip. I can get into a pinch grip, get into that choil, boom. I just really like it. The satin is done really well. The detent is done really well. The flipper tab is perfect. It shoots out of there. The action's really good. It kicks, hit your nail, shake down. If you get low enough, you can get past the nail, but it's up to you how you want to do it. And then they extended the hole. They made it bigger, so boom. You can get in there and really reverse flick that bad boy. That detent is stout, so just keep that in mind. You can also thumb flick it out. And then, of course, it's going to work left-handed really well as well. And all of the same things apply. Disengaging left-handed, easy, get in there. My thumb's jacked up again, so just, I'm going to do it a little awkward. But it works really well. It's in 154 cm, which is an odd choice, considering the price tag is around $200. At least that's what Frank told me. So I'm a little, iffy on the price, but you do get a titanium backspacer and clip, so that's part of it, I suppose. And it's done really well. It really is. This is definitely a welcome knife. I love the changes, so shout out to Frank and Bestech for making those updates. And if this design speaks to you, or the frame lock spoke to you, but $300-400 was just too much for that, I highly recommend checking this out, because I think there's nothing but good changes. Next up, we have, let's talk about the Black Snow Customs Mini Opiate. So this one here is a loaner from my good buddy Joe, my local buddy Joe. Love him. Thank you, Joe. And Black Snow Customs Mini Opiate, made famous to me by the actor, I forget his name, Pride of the Gypsies on Instagram. What the hell is his name? He's Aquaman. I should know his name. I just don't. Interesting dude, but I saw him. He had some customs, and that's what kind of put it on my radar, at least. I wasn't really into this guy's work, and I still am not. This just does not look like a Riot made knife. It is, and I get it does kind of look like it, but at the same time, I don't know why they just left it all custom looking, with the sharp corners and everything. If that's just the design language, cool. Whatever. But it's not for me. These are sold through SliceFK, I believe, on their website. Obviously, they were like $375 or $400, and they're in RWL 34. That price tag is interesting. Now, do I care that it's RWL 34 for that price? I mean, not really, considering what I'm carrying today is the Grissom Knives Rask, and this is in RWL 34, interestingly enough, and this was what, $900, $1,000. So I will pay more for RWL 34. That doesn't bother me really. But it's a Riot made knife. With that, I don't know. They do M390, S90V, they do 20CV, steels like that cost less on a knife. And this just has micarta and titanium liners. I mean, there's not like anything super crazy going on here. You can get this knife, the Maverick S, with micarta, same build, micarta, liner lock, all of it. Satin blade. This one's stonewash, but satin blade, right? And that one's $370. This one's $375 or $400. But you can get this one with Zerk pivot collars, thumb studs, backspacer, clip for $370. Same exact materials, but 20 CV and Zerk for the same price. So I don't understand why this is that price with RWL 34 and just titanium hardware, right? So there you go. That's probably the collaboration talking, because SliceFK has to get their piece and Black Snow has to get their piece, where on this, it's just, you know, obviously Christensen. So I don't know. But I just wanted to bring that comparable up. Both made by Riot, obviously. Now, other than the looks that just aren't for me, it's just a big old cleavery looking thing. And I'm kind of over the cleavers at this point. It's just kind of old. And the fact that it's very sharp corners all over the place. Again, just not for me, man. You have this choil that's just a little small, too. I mean, it works, but you kind of got to, like, wedge your finger in, make sure you get past the edge, and then you're like, okay. You know, I'm not worried about cutting myself, but it's not, for this huge, ginormous blade, just give me a little more choil so I can get in there, right? But people buying this knife probably have big hands because they're probably big dudes, because little dudes don't carry knives like this, really, you know? I just feel like I'm going to cut myself at some point getting into this choil, you know, because you got the flipper and then you got the choil, and I don't know. The blade itself to me is not that useful because of the turn on the handle and everything. If I want to go use it to cut shipping labels, say, I have to basically get to here anyway to start the cut, because if you put it flat, it's not, you know, you're just getting the front of the blade, but I can't really get a grip on it. I have to be up here basically to start cutting. Other than that, I mean, it's fine. It's got a little bit of belly, and it's a sheep's foot or a cleaver, whatever you want to call it. It just seems unnecessary, half of the blade being there. It could be half the size, you know. So it's one of those where a lot of times the issue is the other way around. The blade is like super thin and the handle is fatter than the blade, and that looks dumb to me. And this is kind of the same thing. This blade is like 2 or 3 times as thick as this part of the handle. It's just odd. It does have a titanium liner lock. There's no insert of any kind, so it must be a carbonized lock face. Unless there's an insert in there I'm missing. Let me double check, because I think there might be. Yep, there is an insert. My bad. So it probably had to be thicker for that reason to fit the insert, which is fine with me. The access is just not great. Now, there's a lot of room in there, and there's a little chamfer right here. But it's not like reset. Nothing's cut back. The access is you kind of got to go on an angle to get it. Not the end of the world, but it's a thing. The D10's pretty late. So here it is open, right? And here it is hitting the detent right there. Here it is breaking the detent, but there's a ramp. So you got to get to, let's see if I break right there. Yep, I can shake. Okay, so right about there is where you're past it, right? So here, we're jumping. So there, jump right to there. So that's where it's breaking. For example, I'm just going to grab a random knife again. Grab the Maverick. Here's where it breaks. Right there. Past it, right there. So you see the angles of the blade there. This one, you can start shaking. Right? Close. This one, start shaking. So you just have a lot more travel, and you have this flipper tab. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when you have a flipper tab on a knife and a late detent, because you end up with a double clutch, right? Or like that, I got lucky, I got past it. But if you're here, you're not past the detent. So now I'm going to clutch it up. So if you're using the flipper tab to stop your blade because you don't want your finger to get chopped off, right? So that's what a lot of people do. You're going to use the flipper tab to block the blade from falling. Well, I want it to be past the detent at that point, so then I can get my finger out and close it. But on this knife, you have to get past it and then close it. So you basically have to like go lower than the flipper tab and do it like this. Get your thumb out. I could just see a lot of people accidentally having a blade hit them, or doing this a lot where you're stuck now, right? Now you got to do that. Minor things, but all of those add up for me. Another thing is I really don't like these pivots. I believe the prototype had collars, and I remember that looking really good. And for some reason, they got rid of the pivot collars. I forget the reasoning. I didn't really, talk to anybody over there. I just remember seeing it on somebody's channel and going, why would you get rid of those pivot collars? Because this looks, it just doesn't look good to me. It's just a giant disc on the blade. Same with the clip. It's just kind of there. It's a very custom looking clip. And I think that's the moral of the story here, guys, is that this is a production knife that wants to be a custom knife. And I think for those of you who love Black Snow Customs or love the Opiate, right, that kind of thing, you're going to really enjoy this because you have that look and feel and everything, yet you have that Riot quality, you have that Riot build, you have that Riot fit and finish. It's just not my style, and that's the thing here, right? The action is great. You have a flipper tab with jimping right here that I thought was weird because I'm like, don't you want to pull it here? And that's weird. It's meant to be push button, and boy, I'll tell you, when you push button that thing, it's gunning out of there. It is seriously fun to flick. So the flipper tab's really good, which is good because it's the only method of deployment. Now, you can get the blade and get your finger in there, and you can try to flick it out. Give it a little wrist. It'll flick out for you. Left-handed, I don't think so. No. I can't get the grip that I need, really, to flick it, but you can do it. If you get low enough on the blade, you can whip it out. But it's meant to be a flipper. The action on the close, you can see there, controlled, dropped shut. It's dropping really nice. So it is fun to play with. The detent is dialed perfectly. So there's all those things. Centering is, I'll call that dead nuts. One other thing I don't like is this odd lanyard pin back here. Like, who in their right mind is taking this huge hulking knife and putting a lanyard on it? Like, you really need help getting this thing out of your pocket? I don't know. I just find that weird. So, I don't know. It's a good knife. It's made well. The action's good. All of these things, right? It's just not one for me. I don't like the design overall. I don't like the ergos at all. Again, it's super blocky and sharp-edged, and this is uncomfortable because I have no room back here. I'm hanging off, 3-finger knife. So then I go into the choil that's a little too tight for me. I always feel like I'm getting poked right here. And then it's still not comfortable because if I bear down, this is really sharp right here. Just gets me a little bit. The clip is sharp up here. It's just not a comfortable knife. So this, to me, is a $375 knife to appease yourself because you want a custom and you can't afford it or you can't find it or whatever, right? And that's fair. That's why they do these knives. So, I'm sorry, I rambled for a long time about this one. That's the mini Opiate from SliceFK. I don't want to, I mean, I'm definitely coming off like I don't like the knife because I don't like the design. But I like the knife. It's still built well and all of those things. So, take that however you like. The last one is similar. This is the TriiAxis Midnight. This is a knife loaned into me by Redbeard again. Shout out to Caleb. this is a cool knife. At the same time, I'd like to see a few changes to make it a better knife. But that's my personal opinion, right? Take that however you will. This is I believe, first knife designed by the guy over there. And I believe it's also him solely making this knife himself. So there's a lot of things that go into that. And of course, you're going to be learning a lot as you go and blah, blah, blah. And there's only like 20 of these out there, I think, right now. So there's that. I believe these are like $700 or $800 new. This puzzle pattern is gorgeous. It is absolutely stunning. It's the coolest thing about the knife is that milling pattern, right? I love the pivot design as well. And aesthetically, it starts to stop there for me personally. I do not like the blade to handle ratio. I do not like how it looks because you basically have half the handle left after the blade disappears. To me, aesthetically, just does not look good. You have a super thin handle, which is great. You have this hole right here, which I don't know what it is. Maybe a lanyard hole of some sort. It does pop into that backspacer, so I guess it is a lanyard hole, sort of. I don't really like that. I don't like this giant lanyard hole back here. Just, I don't know. Lanyards need to stop taking priority. But I don't like how wide the handle is down here. I really honestly just don't like the handle down here. I wish it was a little thinner overall, the knife. And I wish it ended a little bit earlier. So I would redesign the knife a little bit. But that's just me personally, guys. Again, take all that how you will. The clip sits off the frame. I don't like that. Now, I will say I did carry it, and it didn't move for me. It didn't move at all for me. It was fine. When the blade is open, it still sticks off the handle, so it's not like a Medford where some of those, it's like closed, it's off the handle, and then open, it's, or no, the other way around. Closed, it's flush, and then, or touching the handle, then you open it, and then it sticks off. It's the same either way on this guy. This seems to have the Grissom detent system. I don't know if he licensed it from them or how that works, or maybe there's something different in there that I don't see, but it seems a lot like the detent system we have here on the Grissom Rask or on the Norseman. The only thing I don't see is where the ball is. There's usually a little post after the nub, and I don't see that, so I don't know how he's doing that. So he may have invented his own. It just looks similar, that's all. I'm not an expert. Very thin down here where you disengage, but it works really well. I have no issue with that. Very thin blade. One of my biggest gripes with it is the hole location. It's up top, right? And for me, it's just awkward to get to that spot because of how long the handle is. If the handle were shorter, I think I'd be fine to get to right there, right? But because of the handle length, I'm palming it down here, and then I have to get here, and I'm slipping sort of out of the hole. It doesn't quite grab me because I'm trying to find it, right? I'm not naturally, when I pick the knife up, I want to pick the knife up and I want to flick. Where's my finger land? Right here. Right there. Left-handed, pick the knife up, get ready to flick. Pick the knife up. My landing spot is right here. So to me, that tells me the hole should be down there, and then the blade should just be shifted down. I don't know how you do it. I'm just telling you my observations. But having the hole up here is awkward. It's literally a hand adjustment for me. I pick it up, and this is the natural grip. This is how you hold a knife. I'm holding the grip, and I go to flick, can't. It's just not there. So I feel like it's almost made to be like index flicked or something, which I can't do because of the lock bar. But let's try it right hand. If I get there, perfect landing spot, and then you could, yeah, see, I don't know how to flick with my index finger. But it's almost set up for that finger, or maybe it's just meant to be thumb flicked. I don't know. But that's a thing. And then you have the overall design. It does look a lot like a whippersnapper. I've been told that, but a whippersnapper is a much thinner handle that kind of curves a little bit, and I think it's a little shorter. It has the whippersnapper vibes, but I don't think it's in any way like a copy or anything like that. I'm just using it as a reference. The action on it's really good. I mean, it swings shut. I did tighten the pivot. Beforehand, it would just zoop, drop down, but it did have minor play. I have it where it has 0 play, and it's still swinging. I mean, you can see that. The centering looks good to me. It's just hard to tell because the blade's buried down there. And you can see the blade to handle ratio is just a bit off, in my opinion. Crazy bulbous blade, unique as hell. Again, super thin up here. It's a cool knife. I mean, it really is. I think, again, like the mini Opiate, it's just personally not one that screams my name. But it works pretty well left-handed. You can reverse flick it pretty well. The detent, in my opinion, if I was right-handed, I'd want it to be stronger. And I believe Caleb said he even strengthened it a little bit when he got it, so it was even weaker than this. So I guess my point is this has a lot of potential. I see a lot of nice things in the build quality and all of that. And whether it's just me personally, maybe I got to wait till his next design and, it'll be something that's more up my alley, I guess. Or, he makes a version 2 or something. But I think if you guys are out there looking for the next cool thing and you're in that class of knives like the Rosie, the FSD, Trevor Burgers and the Grimsmo knives and whatnot, right? If you're into all that stuff and you're looking for something new, I think this is a good place to go because he's a new young maker. I don't know if he's actually young, but it's the early stages, so it'd be cool. You could get in on the ground floor, you know what I mean? If he made a lefty, I might pick one up. But I talked to him about that, and he said that wouldn't happen. But as stands as a right-handed knife, it's just not enough there for me to want to pick one up. For me, the Rask, again, the FSD, obviously the Rosie, and, the Trevor Burger Urban here. These are just more my style. I think they're a little more refined. You also have the Kvist variant custom. These are all in that same sort of vein, right? They're that kind of production custom, small batch custom stuff that I talk about a lot. These just have a little bit more of, I guess, what I'm looking for. I don't know. The whole design makes more sense for me. Again, on the Rosie here, I pick it up, right? I'm going to pick it up, get my grip, and I'm going to go to flick it. Where's my finger go? Right in the hole, right? My finger goes, boom, right into that slot. On the variant here, I get into a grip, right? Boom, right into the hole. And it just makes sense. The Burger here, a lot of people know you can flick these, but I get into a grip, I go to flick, boom, right there. The FSD, get into a grip, boom, I'm right there. The Rask doesn't have a hole, but this one, again, get into the grip, and I go to flick, and I want to be down here, and I have to kind of force myself, and I'm kind of bending my fingers to get in there. So for my hand personally, it's just not going to work. And that's kind of just the bottom line. But it's a well-built knife. It's cool. Good looking. I think if you don't mind blade to handle ratio things, I think it's fine. I'd love to see a sort of redesign version 2. And, whatever comes next, I'm going to be happy to check it out. Whether I pick one up myself or, I find somebody else to loan me one, like Redbeard. Shout out to him again. Really appreciate him sending some stuff my way. So, a couple on the list today just weren't, my cup of tea, so to speak. But does not mean they're not great knives. Just not everything is for me, So there you go. That is the Midnight from TriiAxis. We have the SliceFK, Black Snow, right? Black Snow Customs Mini Opiate. We have the Exponent from Craig Brown. We have the Grissom Riverstone from Bestech. So that's the 4 knives right there. Those are rapid reviews. Sorry. I love you guys. I'd love to know what you think down in the comments. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.